All right. And we are live. Welcome to another episode of the Inner Circle podcast. Feels good to be back once again. It's pretty awesome. It's been pretty awesome because Gamescom just passed. I know a lot of fans didn't like games. A lot of people didn't like Gamescom based on what some people were saying. Everybody is expecting Microsoft to have another E3 Part 2. You know, the problem with Gamescom is that ever since Microsoft sort of did that event where they showed off Tomb Raider and Scalebound, everybody's looking for Microsoft to sort of do something like that again. And the funny thing about it is no one else is doing shows at Gamescom. Like, no one is presenting anything at Gamescom. People just go there and put what they've shown at E3 at Gamescom for people to play. They're no longer doing events at Gamescom the way they used to do it. So it's kind of funny the way people react, mostly because a lot of people just don't like the Xbox show. What is it called again?
Inside Xbox?
Yes, a lot of people don't like Inside Xbox. Do excuse me, I got distracted and was trying to turn the ringtone down on my phone, so that's why I lost my thought. But yeah, a lot of people don't like Inside Access. And I'm sitting up here, and it's funny because I went on this rant on, no, I won't even say a rant. I sort of kind of went on this thing about Inside Xbox on Twitter, and I definitely want to talk about that tonight. We'll discuss Gamescom. We'll talk about Xbox Access, give our thoughts on whether it's good, whether it's bad. And we'll figure out, where people should sit with this possible, because it hasn't even been confirmed yet, but this possible new way to pick up an Xbox as well, and whether or not Microsoft showed off anything at Gamescom that makes people sort of continue to ride the wave of E3. In the meantime, though, as we try to wait for the rest of the team to get in, if they show up, what have you been playing lately, Sam?
Well, dude, being busy covering Gamescom, I haven't exactly been playing a whole heck of a lot, if I'm being perfectly honest here. But I have been playing a ton of Halo Wars 2. My bros have been getting into that recently, and so we've been having a lot of fun diving in on that, playing matches, figuring out the meta for the different leaders, combos, team matches, stuff like that. I've also been hitting up some PUBG recently. I've been getting into that. That's a lot of fun. Looking forward to the 1.0 coming up in just a short period of time, actually, less than 2 weeks. And the last thing I've been playing is Hitman Season 1. I never got a chance to play it, but it's in Game Pass now, and it's really good. Hitman is phenomenal. I would encourage anybody who has Game Pass but hasn't played it to download it and check it out. It's really, really good. I don't want to give anything away except it's an immersive sim level from IO Interactive where you can do anything. Anything can be a weapon. You can become the ultimate assassin. It's really, really cool. So, but yeah, that's it for me.
I definitely want to give it a try. I haven't been able to really engage the games the way I used to. I don't know what it is, man. I'm very selective and picky about the games. I also have a ton of things going on in my household as well as just life in general. So it's been real difficult for me lately to play games, which has been pretty crazy. Big shout out to everybody who has jumped in the chat. I want to thank everybody for stopping out. As always, make sure you give us a thumbs up, which would be a great like and share for us over here at Tick Games. Tick Network. I want to jump into Hitman. I really do. Obviously, with Hitman and having the full season on, and it's funny because I remember when Phil talked about Game Pass, and the first game he brought up was Hitman. That was one of the first games he brought up when people asked him whether or not he should join whether or not he would be able to add new games to Game Pass. And he felt like, smaller studios would be a great way to add sort of like these smaller games or like these episodic games. And Hitman was one of the games he thought of, as well as I was about to say Stranger Things. What's the other game with the girl? That's episodic. So it's in my head. I don't play it, so I can't remember the name for it.
Not Life is Strange. I'm not sure.
Yes, Life is Strange. That's what it's called, right? Life is Strange with the girl with the powers.
Yes. Okay. Sorry,
Right.
I wasn't sure what you were referring to it for a moment there.
Yeah, no doubt. So yeah, like Life is Strange and Hitman and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool to see Hitman on there and all the episodes on there. And I could see more games like that hitting access as well. It's really one of those things where it's like, especially for smaller games and episodic games where you normally wouldn't take money out of your wallet to buy them, you would wait for them to be like $2 or $3. It would really give an opportunity for a lot of these smaller and indie studios to shine because you get an opportunity to hop on it. You know what I'm saying? And actually play the games for the first time. So that'd be pretty cool. But yeah, no, I haven't been playing much lately. I definitely need to start playing games again, but my focus is completely somewhere else at this point. So I haven't even been playing games. I feel like an old man. That's not a good thing. I don't want to lose my youth just yet. But listen, man, let's go ahead and jump into the show. I want to thank everybody for stopping out once again. Big shout out to everybody in chat. You can catch this episode on iTunes, Spotify, as well as Google Music in the future. I do apologize for the last 2 episodes I didn't get uploaded as of late. Been real busy, as like I said before. Now we'll try to get those up over the weekend. So here we go, guys. Get ready to join us on this Xbox roller coaster. Welcome to the Inner Circle Podcast, the premier podcast for Xbox. I'm your host, KLRSKL, with Direwolf 484.
Hey there, how's it going?
Shout out to B Money 101, wherever you are, and as well as Anchorman V, who says, and I quote, when I was on Twitter, I wonder if Anchorman V, who would win in a fight between Anchorman V and showing up at the podcast tonight?
Top 10 anime battles of all time.
Top 10 of all times. And apparently showing up to the podcast has beaten Anchorman because his power level's at 9,000. And he says to blame someone named Nutmeg. I assume it's a woman named Meg. And that's what I'm going to assume. I'm not going to go any further than that. But looks like we're going to be recruiting real soon. So if you guys are out there listening to the channel, keep an eye out for Tick Podcast on Twitter as we start to look for a new member for the premiere podcast for Xbox. So listen, jumping into on a more serious note though, jumping into Gamescom, Microsoft had the Inside Xbox show and they started out and they showed a few things. I know a lot of people were looking for this controller that they supposedly had talked about, and people were sort of thinking it was going to be like some type of Elite controller or something like that. I obviously, many people were disappointed. Clearly, I don't even know what they showed. Did you get a chance to see what they showed? What was the big reveal?
There was no big reveal because they never said there was going to be a big reveal. And yeah, I saw it because I was the one writing up every single announcement on the website.
Right. No, but they did have this thing up where they talked about a reveal coming up tomorrow. Did you get a chance?
No. There was one tweet. No.
They actually had a booth. Right, the booth.
Hang on a moment here. Okay. They had one tweet where it said, it will be revealed tomorrow. It was the PUBG controller. People, yet again, made a big deal out of something that there wasn't supposed to be a big deal made out of. It was just supposed to be a surprise for the people actually attending Gamescom. I've been preaching for weeks now, hey, set your expectations low. That way, whatever happens, you're surprised.
That is true. That is true, Sam. You are Nostradamus. You did say that. And, I don't think that Microsoft has done anything wrong. I think they did what they've normally been doing over the last couple of years. People went into this show, whether it's fans or people still on the fence with Xbox, went into the show looking for some sort of massive update on Crackdown and Battletoads. And, I got a lot of things from people. People wanted to see, they want to see Halo 6 engine. They want to know what's going on with the 3 Gears of War games. Like, bro, that's not what they're doing at Gamescom. Gamescom is an international event. it's really to try to get people who are on the western side of Europe, excuse me, the eastern side of Europe, to sort of partake in what Microsoft has to offer, because a lot of times you have these other events like RGX and things like that in the UK. You have E3 over here. We got PAX over here. There's a lot of events that happens gaming wise, and people always get a chance to play these games. But it's good that Microsoft is trying to get people, as well as the other companies as well, to play their games over there, and kind of showing off what they have in store, especially with things coming to the Xbox One X. So with that said, I find it funny that a lot of people were upset over the Inside Xbox event. But before we jump into that, let's just go through some of the things that they showed off. So, Marcus, we got a chance to see the new Sea of Thieves update. What is your thoughts on that?
It's good. It's neat. It adds more stuff, more variety. They're continuing to add stuff. This one's more of a changing the meta up, adding volcanic areas, water that you can't swim through because it'll kill you, hot geysers, rowboats, for loading treasure. It's neat. It's cool stuff. It adds up. I like Curse Sails more because I thought the skeleton ships being added into the seas was awesome, along with that little timed campaign that they've done there. But at the end of the day, it's more stuff, and if Rare keeps on rolling, people like me will keep on checking it out. So that's good.
Right. I definitely got to get back into Sea of Thieves. It's one of my favorite games that I play. Every time I look at screenshots from people, the game just looks gorgeous. Like I know a lot of people try to crap on it because of the sort of the way the characters are designed, but again, that's that Rare flair. That's how it looks. But man, I gotta say, when you start looking at the world, the water, the skies, especially at night, the lighting, the shadows, absolutely one of the best well-built games I have seen in a long time. It looks really, really good, and the screenshots do it much justice. They did an amazing job with it. But again, they have to continue to pump out as much content as possible. The funny thing about when you have a game that's constantly getting content is that the people who don't play are constantly bashing the game as if there has nothing's been added to the game. So you constantly get the same comments and the same idea that the game is sort of like what it was at launch, what is a completely different game and starting to become more fleshed out as it starts to get more and more content. And that's cool, man. And I think the $60 price tag, people argue that, hey, that's way too much. And I get that idea, but you do understand that you have two options when it comes to pricing. You could either pay for all the DLC packs that's coming out right now, which you're getting for free, whether you're on Game Pass or you bought the game outright for $60, or you could just pay the $60 and get everything for free like they've been doing. And I think the $60 is well worth it. I just think people are just bitter because they felt like they didn't get a full game at launch. So it's kind of a double-edged sword when it comes to Sea of Thieves, but they seem to be on the right track, and if they're going all in with it according to Rare. So that's really good for them. The next game I won't say the next game. I won't go in order, but another game they showed off was Tomb Raider running on the Xbox One X. And obviously, you've heard a lot of people talk about it looks downgraded. It doesn't look as good as it did, especially on the last game. I just think it's just an early build. What is your thoughts on that?
I don't know if exactly what footage was shown off that people were saying looked bad. I know the GTX ray tracing demo was taking place, and there's some mixed results there in terms of how it looks. And I really don't want to get bogged down in that discussion because that's a whole other thing. But Digital Foundry has an excellent dive on the Xbox One X footage they've been given, and it looks phenomenal. It looks just as good, if not even better than Rise, and there's more customization options. I really don't think people have anything to worry about there. I don't think it's a big deal. Just like I don't think it's a big deal. I know there's some stuff going around right now on Spider-Man and Forza Horizon 4. Like, I'm not going to take a compressed image from a stream and judge the game off of that. It has almost never panned out. I know Watch Dogs scared everybody, but that was an extreme example. It really was. So I don't think it's a big deal.
Ubisoft has been known to do downgrades. Like, I don't expect this. No way in hell I expect Beyond Good and Evil 2 to look the way it does right now on any console. Beyond Good and Evil 2 is one of the most gorgeous games I have ever seen in my entire life. People, I don't know what, and don't get me wrong, because I've been hearing some crazy rumors about Cyberpunk 2077, and the screenshots alone look absolutely incredibly impressive. For a first person game to have that amount of detail and for it to still be open world is an insane analogy to me. I am really giddy with joy. I cannot wait to play this game. I am so excited. I don't know why I'm so hyped because I can't get into Witcher for the life of me. But this game, for whatever reason, has me really excited. Maybe because I'm imagining it being like I don't know, Deus Ex, because that's like the only cyberpunkish game that I've played in a very long time. But man, I'm really hyped for Cyberpunk. I really am.
Cyberpunk 2077, from the impressions of anybody who's gotten to see it, will be the only game that matters. It
Absolutely.
is true next gen, and it's been described as Deus Ex, but with a level of detail and scale and gameplay systems from Rockstar, the likes of which the world has never seen. I can't even imagine it. I don't think there's any way that game comes out before 2020, probably even 2021, but you can be darn sure I'll be there day one.
Absolutely. I'm with you on that. I'm with it. I'm on it day one. There was no way I'm passing up on this game. It sort of reminds me of how I feel about Bethesda, where it's like I can play the Elder Scrolls series, but I can't get into Fallout for the life of me. Like no matter how much I play Fallout, like it's just something about the game that I'm just like, this is so boring. Like I just can't do it. But Elder Scrolls, dude, I could run around and hack dead Vikings all day. Like I just go into dungeons and kill dead Vikings all day. Like it's just whatever. It is what it is. No, it looks amazing. I'm very excited about it. But the whole thing with Tomb Raider that concerned me and why I believe it's an early build is, okay, so the scene that they show is her running off a cliff, jumping into water, and they talk about how you sort of have all of this level of exploration. You have your basic level of exploration where you're walking on the ground. You can climb up on things. They've made the areas way wider, so you have much more exploration. But then you have these little areas where you can swim and you can dive in the water. Whereas before, you were sort of like in a pool or a puddle in previous games that kind of just dove in to survive a long fall or a long drop and then get out. You couldn't really dive deep and explore and get certain things. So they've taken it to this whole new level, and now you're able to sort of get in cracks in the walls and go under certain things to escape. But then you have enemies as well, barracuda, piranhas, things like that you have to deal with. All well and good. When she jumps off the cliff and hits the water, there are literally no effects that happen when she hits that water at all. She literally goes into the water. It's almost like there wasn't no water there. It's just like she fell and gravity caught her. And she just swam in gravity because there was like no splash effects whatsoever. She kind of just went into the pool, and I felt concerned about that, but I looked at it from the perspective of it's more than likely just the latest build or an older build that they're showing off at the event. Whereas when they release the actual game, it will be the latest build or the final build and be up to date and look gorgeous and amazing and have everything it's supposed to have.
9 chances out of 10. I'm not saying it can't happen, but 9 chances out of 10, it was simply a snippet from an older build, and it was in the pile of material PR was given to build a quick trailer.
Right.
That's probably what it was, because I played the demo at E3, and there was splashing around when she hit the water. Okay, I did a lot of swimming, and there were splashing effects, and it looked amazing. So I don't lose your heads, people. Don't lose your heads over that single thing.
Yeah, I can't get mad. I don't think I can't see how the team that has been doing Tomb Raider over and over for the last generation, the earlier from this generation, even last generation, at the end of the generation, could take a step back when this game looks like it's going to be a culmination of the first and second game and finally sort of really coming out of its own into its shells. One of the reasons why I'm so excited about it, because I love adventure games. Like as an RPG guy, I love these type of games. Even though it doesn't have a lot of RPG, it's not an RPG per se. It has a lot of elements where you're doing a lot of exploration and you're opening chests and you're crafting and you're exploring things. And I love stealth. That is a key factor to me. Anything with stealth, I got to get it. So, there's a lot of stealth abilities in the game, and I love to play games like that where you creeping up on people, choking them out, shooting them in the head with arrows. I know this sounds violent and brutal, but
plus the whole setting, it's a Mayan apocalypse, and there's like human sacrifice and dark. the idea of being a dark jungle predator. It's a very dark theme, and they've even talked about how, without spoiling anything, of course, the devs have mentioned how Lara is clearly not okay. You know, like her psyche, a woman like who's been through this, like she can't be okay, and she might be making mistakes. She might not quite be doing the right thing in certain situations. So I'm very excited. It's one of my most anticipated games this fall.
Microsoft continues to continues on and then shows off a game, is actually a surprising sort of like on stage appearance with the guys from Supermassive.
That was a big deal. That was probably the highlight of the show to me, if I'm being honest here.
Okay.
Did you play Until Dawn by any chance?
Absolutely not.
What?
Absolutely not. You know I'm not playing that game, bro. You're not catching me playing that game. I'm sure it's not scary, but still,
it's very scary. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'm definitely not playing it.
It's a great game to play with your wife. Really is. I'm not kidding. It is a great game for someone who doesn't really game. If you have a partner in your life, like just say, hey, help me make decisions here. It's like watching a movie, except you get to make some of the choices. You know, it's great like that. And Until Dawn, I'm shocked that we're not getting an Until Dawn 2. Okay, I really am, because Supermassive has always been basically like a second party to Sony, sort of like what Playground Games has done with Microsoft, you know, where they ported Killzone HD, they did DLC for Little Big Planet 2, they did a couple of other smaller things, and then Until Dawn was their real breakout hit, and it sold decently, garnered a cult audience who, like me, we fell in love with that whole cheesy slasher vibe it was going to, but also subverting the tropes, but you can choose to play them straight if you want to see, you know, people be idiots and stuff like that. It was really cool. So yeah, I mean, like EdgeXL in the chat says it's his favorite new IP from Sony. It's not quite my favorite, but it's really good. Until Dawn was a fantastic game. And so seeing that the devs at Supermassive have been hiring, they're expanding their studio, and they're doing this anthology where they want to release 2 games a year is what they're aiming for. 2 a year. That's crazy to me. They said they have plans for 39 games.
Wow.
And each game is going to be a standalone entry where there's a different cast of characters in a different horror setting. So this first one that's coming up is called Man of Medan, and it's about 5 people. 4 of them are like college friends, and the 5th is the boat captain, who become trapped on a ghost ship when they're searching for underwater treasure. And there's something going on, we're not sure what it is, and you can describe yourself as more emotional or rational, and it shapes the story, and all of them can live or die based off of your decisions. So seeing them go multi-platform instead of getting picked up by Sony is interesting, to say the least. And even if I'm disappointed we're not getting an Until Dawn 2, I'm very happy that we're basically getting a bunch of spiritual sequels, if that makes any sense.
You know what's funny with the Until Dawn 2 situation? I feel like, I don't know if it's just me. Am I the only person that sort of reads what happens to PlayStation games? So like when Until Dawn came out, it wasn't critically a success. It was like, you know, at least by the standards of PlayStation gamers and PlayStation executives. And because it wasn't a critical success, they sort of abandoned that game. Like they've abandoned that studio. And because they abandoned the game and they abandoned that studio, it's one of those things where they sort of moved on the same way Hello Games has moved on. And you had the guys over at Insomniac finally finish up their games with Ratchet and Clank and sort of make Sunset Overdrive for Xbox. And seeing Supermassive on stage, I really would have thought that the relationship with them and Sony was so good that they probably would have presented, even if it was a multi-plat, on Sony's stage. So it sort of reminds me of Remedy. When Remedy appeared on PlayStation stage.
Yeah. Trying to show your games to the audience that they haven't been there.
Right. Before. So it was pretty cool to see them up on stage. And again, like I said, even if I'm not a guy who's into horror games, it's cool to see that Microsoft didn't miss out on a title that a lot of people like, because Until Dawn does have a cult following. You know what I'm saying? So because it has that cult following, you can see people picking up that game. And if they had it on PlayStation, maybe they're willing to try this game on the Xbox instead. being that Until Dawn was on PlayStation.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like I'm happy that Supermassive is getting to make more games like Until Dawn. That's what I'm saying. Even if I'm annoyed that the anthology isn't beginning with Until Dawn technically.
Right.
If that makes any sense at all.
Yeah, no, it does. Absolutely. So they moved on. We saw Devil May Cry 5, which looks absolutely incredible.
Dude, Devil May Cry
Absolutely
5.
Incredible. Listen, I haven't played a Devil May Cry and God knows when. It's been such a long time since I played a Devil May Cry game. This game with the new graphics and the animation just looks so incredible. I am so hyped for this game. If that's the type of thing that Devil May Cry needed to sort of revive it from its sort of like middle ground slumber. You know what I'm saying? Because back in the day, Devil May Cry used to be like, it was a top tier title. And I felt like over the years, as more Devil May Cries came out, it sort of became one of those games that was sort of like a coasting game.
Sort of. Okay, so I need to clarify something. I am not an old Devil May Cry fan. Okay, I didn't play the old game. No, I didn't. I did not play the old games. Okay, so I need to clarify that right now when I make this statement. That I always got the impression that in some of the later entries, fans were annoyed with like them just like what you said, coasting. Where it was like, okay, this is to be expected. And I think from Hideaki Itsuno's son's comments, the director of the game, working at Capcom, that's why they've taken so long on this, because they wanted to make sure that they were doing it right, that they were delivering an incredible game for the fans. And holy crap, if what they've showed so far is any indicator, then I think they're going to deliver.
Yeah, it looks incredible.
It looks good.
It looks really good. The combat was fluid. The grappling looked amazing. The animation, the way he moved looked amazing. The little cutscenes was all cool. The monsters didn't look janky. It looked like what we envisioned Scalebound should have been. You know what I'm saying? It's like, this is what Scalebound should have been.
That protagonist bears more than a passing resemblance.
Exactly. And I want to say Capcom is starting to get it right for all the things that they did wrong early on in the generation. Monster Hunter, now this game, they're really starting to get things right, and I'm really liking it. Speaking of which, that's the wrong studio. Let me not jump on that train just yet. But
sure.
They look like they're doing a really good job with this game. I'm really impressed with it. And I think everybody should have their eye on Devil May Cry 5. And I'm actually impressed.
Even if I'm not a fan of the older games, dude, 4 is in Game Pass, and I'm going to go back in there and see, like, okay, what do I need to know about the story? So I can jump in and enjoy 5. Because, like, Dante, like, dual-wielding the blade motorcycles, and you whack a giant demon, and it flies into a tower, and it just crumbles. I'm like, good grief. And fun fact, this I found kind of amusing. I know that the alternate reality / non-canon game that Ninja Theory did, DMC Devil May Cry, was the fan base is very split on it, is my understanding. Some love it, some hate it, some care for it, some don't. But Hideaki Itsuno said that that's the game they're really focusing on learning from. That he said Ninja Theory's style with the combat and the combos and the edgy presentation, the edgelord presentation of everything they did is something they're really pulling from. So it's a mild thing. I kind of found that amusing.
Right. Listen, I just, every time I think of Devil May Cry, I think of Onimusha. I think of that era of PS2 where they just came out with some amazing games, and Devil May Cry was one of my favorites. It's probably one of the first games that I bought with my own money. And I think that's why it's so significant to me. Over the years, I sort of strayed away from Devil May Cry. And as I watched the games develop, I started losing more interest because I always felt like they started straying away from the character. And then once they introduced Nero, I sort of had the same feeling when they introduced Raiden in Metal Gear. After playing Metal Gear Solid and jumping into Sons of Liberty, I just was like, what? Like, what? Who is this guy? This guy's not cool. Get him out of here. Why am I using him? You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, what? I'm stuck with him for the whole game. This is so bull. I don't want to play this game no more. You know, but I pushed my way through it. Then in the end, you know, you get a chance to play as Snake, and it's pretty dope. But at the end of the day, man, I'm impressed with what they're doing with the game. And regardless of Nero being a part of the Sparta family, I really think that I'm high on this. I think a lot of people are high on it just for the sheer fact that it looks like they're really getting Devil May Cry back to what it's supposed to be. So that's pretty cool in itself. I want to talk about something that was really cool. Now, it seems like Phil, once again, in his trip to Japan, has worked out for Xbox again. Games Preview once again shows that it is super beneficial to the Xbox platform. And I talk about this all the time, that I think a lot of people just negate Xbox Game Preview because games are in alpha and beta form. But these are a lot of times full-fledged games that, yeah, you have to deal with the BS and the bugs and stuff like that. But a lot of times you can get a lot of fun out of these games. And they're basically exclusive titles until they launch and are released. But in the meantime, you get an opportunity to participate in the growth and build of the game. So Microsoft just recently announced that Bandai Namco is bringing their MMORPG to the Xbox platform first with Blessed Unleashed. And, you know, listen, it was supposedly released on PC. A lot of people didn't like it because it had some issues. And my understanding is that it was mainly due to the engine of Unreal 3, but they're supposedly moving the entire game to Unreal 4. And that is going to fix all the problems, all the problems with this game. And the first platform that is going to come on is the Xbox One. And you'll be able to play it also on the X Enhance from Game Preview. And it's going to be a free-to-play MMO. And I'm excited about that as an MMO guy. To have Bandai Namco put an MMO on Xbox first, to me, is a big deal and a huge step. And Phil continuing to work his magic and get these guys to bring their games to the Xbox platform. And I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's paying off. It is paying off, no question. It's starting to add up. And it's these small things at first, make no mistake. But again, we've talked about this before, and it's worth re-emphasizing. The way he's pitched it to Japanese developers is very clever in terms of, right now, we're not going to make inroads in Japan. We know that. We're not going to sell a lot of consoles in Japan. We get that. How can we help share your Japanese games with a Western audience?
Right. Absolutely.
And that's the key factor there. And I think they're taking note. Otherwise, Bandai Namco wouldn't be doing things like that. Otherwise, they wouldn't have the marketing rights for Devil May Cry 5. You know?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you right now, that ass Bandai Namco is becoming my favorite Japanese studio. Like they're really starting.
They're a publisher.
Publisher. But still, overall, they're really starting to become like one of my favorites out of Japan for the simple fact that they are willing to bring their content to Xbox. You know, I think that's a big deal to me. They're not trying to play, in my opinion, this is my personal opinion, and based off a lot of the people that I spoke to, developers alike, you know, they're not trying to play this politics games of, you know, Microsoft sort of, because of the fan base and what the fan base is into, sort of just not supporting the platform. And I appreciate that. And I'm not saying that it's not Microsoft's own doing themselves. Obviously, neglect played the role in it as well. Low sales in the East, in the East didn't play played a strong role in that as well. But overall, you know, when I look at Square, as much as I used to love Square, and I still respect Square, I always looked at them as like the premier Japanese studio or the premier Japanese publisher, whatever you want to say at this point. And you know, when they made all these games, they, you know, obviously they had a great relationship with Sony. Sony used to have stock in them before they sold it, and they were really like brother and sister. And to this day, they still seem like their brother and sister. And it's not to say that they can't support the Xbox, but the amount of content that PlayStation gets from Square is just mind baffling at this point. And it's sort of crazy because you've did well with some of the games that you released. Tomb Raider does well on the platform. Final Fantasy 15 did well on the platform. And I think if you're able to bring more of these games over to the Xbox, you would be able to gain that audience. I don't know why they hesitate the way they do. You got Bandai Namco jumping in. You know what I'm saying? They're releasing, and their games are real Japanese games. Like, this is not like some bogus Tomb Raider, sort of like Western.
Tomb Raider is Western.
Yeah, it's a Western game, so it makes sense. But Bandai Namco's not doing it. Like, they're really bringing over these Japanese games and stuff like that. Even Capcom jumping back in the fray, bringing over their games. So I got a lot of respect for these guys for attempting to gain an audience and introduce their games to the Western world and the Xbox audience, which can be a bit stubborn at times and sort of miss out on quality titles because it's made by Japanese developers. And I hope Microsoft and Phil and that team continues to work with the Japanese guys, because again, regardless of what people say or what people feel, diversity is always important. It doesn't matter if the game is good. Obviously, we all want good games. Every game isn't going to be good, and sometimes games that we don't expect to be good are good. But if you have the variety, if you have the options, and we all know how Xbox fans love options. If you have the options, you have an opportunity to play and maybe discover something that you like that you thought you didn't like. And that's the cool thing about having variety. So it's good that Phil is out there working his butt off to get those games on the platform. So that's pretty dope. Jumping into preview once again, DayZ is coming to the Xbox, to the preview program next week, as well as Hunt Showdown.
So at least one good game is coming.
Oh, you don't like DayZ? I never played DayZ before.
DayZ's time in the sun is long gone. I'm going to borrow a phrase from our beloved King David. Throw it in the bushes. Throw it in the bushes. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You know what? If you're a fan, I'm not trying to be rude. Enjoy your game. I really could not care less.
Right. Shout out to King David.
Oh, yeah. Great dude. Hunt Showdown, on the other hand, that was a good surprise. And I think opening the show with that, unfortunately, set a really good tone, because I think they opened with the one real surprise of the show, if that makes sense. Like, in terms of, whoa, this game is coming to game preview already. It's a lot of fun. It's a horror-oriented co-op title. I did a preview piece on our old website, so hopefully that'll be coming over to the new website fairly soon. But you can play in 1 or 2 player squads. You hunt down monsters, banish demons, all in like an alternate history Louisiana setting. It's creepy. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. The only question I have is if it's running on CryEngine and it's already kind of rough on computers, I'm wondering how it's going to do on the base Xbox One. You know, like it's going to need some optimization. No question.
No doubt. I listen, when I saw a Hunt for a second there, it reminded me of Dead by Daylight. You know, for a few seconds, because it was you're in a swamp and there's like these monsters walking around the swamp and you're sort of killing them, and I'm like, okay, what is this? And as the game starts to progress, it's not so much that you're like in a swamp, you're sort of killing them, like it's like you're in the Wild Wild West. And I'm like, hey, okay, this is interesting. And you got like these old school rifles and Smith & Wesson type weapons.
And the guns are so good, dude. They're so good. The attention to detail with those weapons is phenomenal in the way, like, if you reload, you might lose a bullet because you're ejecting the chamber. It's so good attention to detail. They all feel really good to use. And you're not required to kill anyone else you find, but you can. So you can work together or backstab other hunters. It's a lot of fun.
It looks dope. I just was like really impressed with the game, and I'm probably gonna pick it up. It's one of those games where it's just like, to me, that type of game isn't scary. Obviously, you're gonna have monsters in the game or whatever, but because like you're running around, you're shooting them or whatever, and it's more about survival more than it is about actually playing some type of story with jump scares and stuff like that. I don't know why I can't play games like I can't play horror or survival horror games. It's just too much pressure. I feel pressure playing these games, but a game like that I can play all day. I think that's pretty cool, and I'm excited about that without question. Preview is definitely showing out. It has been a great addition to the Xbox. I can't talk enough about what Microsoft has done with Xbox over this generation. even if they might not be successful in sales, and they are successful in their own right, but they may not be as high as the market leader. They have built a really consumer friendly platform without question. Try to get through this real quick. So Halo Master Chief Collection is coming to Xbox Game Pass September 1st. I think we all have Halo Master Chief Collection at this point. If you don't have it, I don't know where you've been living. But most of us are just waiting for this update, honestly, to jump back in. This is a big update that's coming out. I'm pretty sure it's going to be huge. This game is already like over 100 gigs as it is. So when this update comes out, you could expect it probably to jump to 100 something, 20, maybe 30 gigs, probably the biggest game on Xbox. But big update, increase to 4K, 60 frames per second. That's a big deal.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It's phenomenal.
Absolutely.
I will definitely be jumping in there. You can find me. I will be hitting the playlist somehow. Probably in the couple of days I have before the fall review season just absolutely obliterates me and my team. I'll be in there for a few days.
The cool thing about it is that it's going to be on Game Pass, so it's going to revive those multiplayer lobbies really, really quickly. That's the cool thing I'll say about Game Pass. Because if you have Xbox Game Pass, anything with multiplayer, you can instantly revive it. Especially with them now selling Game Pass for $2 for 2 months. You get it for the first month, then you get a month free. If you've never had Game Pass, you can't beat that. That's a good entry fee for now. So Halo Master Chief Collection coming to Xbox is pretty dope, obviously. State of Decay 2 has some DLC announcements. PUBG is finally releasing. They also showed off. What else did they show off? Give me one sec.
Sure, no problem.
They also showed off Metro Exodus.
Oh, so good. One of my most anticipated, if not my most anticipated game for next year.
I really want them to buy 4A at this point. Like, I really want.
Wouldn't be a bad buy. They wouldn't be a bad buy. They've got 2 studios. One has about 80 people. The other has about 70 devs. And they make quality shooters. They make darn good ones, too, with great stories. I will, after Metro Exodus comes out, because I wouldn't want them to money have this. That'd be a little icky. But after this, sure. That'd be a great feeling. That'd be a great addition. But Metro Exodus is going to kick butt. It's going to be fantastic.
And the game for me that I actually just watched today was Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice. And somebody had this, they had this stream where this guy, he's fighting some general. And the general jumps in the air. And he ducks, and like the general comes down with like an overhead slashing attack. That's probably like it's a powerful attack. It's going to do massive damage if it connects. And right when he pulls his attack off, the guy does his own attack, and the character ducks down, and the general misses by like the hitbox detection is insane because. The way he missed, it was just like, bro, any other game, that would have hit. Any other game, you would have got hit. But he missed. He turns around and counters with a slash and then jumps in the air and hits him with another slash. I literally watched that one scene about 50 times because I just was that was impressive.
Dude, the moment it became, the day the collector's edition became available, I locked in my pre-order for one. I'm like, yes, I am going to have this. Yeah. From Software, I'm a huge fan of Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Demon Souls. So them taking on like a Ninja Gaiden / Tenchu type game, oh yeah, they won. No question.
This game has got me so excited. I'm not a fan of Dark Souls. I've tried these games. For some reason, I can't get into them. It's funny because my homeboy's like, dude, you're not going to like Sekiro. I'm like, why? He's like, because it's like Dark Souls. I'm like, no, bro. No, it's not. I'm just like, no, it's not. It's not. Don't get me wrong. It may be difficult. It may have the thing where like maybe you die and you lose your stuff or whatever it is. I don't know. But the gameplay, definitely not like Dark Souls.
Well, I mean, there's elements. You can see the DNA.
Yes, there's DNA, absolutely. But it's definitely not like Dark Souls. I would say Code Vein is closer to Dark Souls than.
Yes, I would agree with that. I will agree with that. Yes.
So it's just funny because it's just like I watched this game. The guy is grappling. He's moving through the. It's so fluid and so fast. The game graphically is just gorgeous. Really impressed with this game, and I'm a big fanboy for Japanese settings, anime, culture. Overall, I love the Japanese culture. I love just Asian culture. Period. Both in the Chinese and both Japanese cultures, because that's sort of what I grew up on, watching martial arts, kung fu films, international movies, and things like that. So for me, watching Code Vein and being in this setting has me super hype and super excited. It's one of the reasons why I wish Animusha would come back, because it had that feudal Japan setting. You don't get enough of those games anymore. One of the reasons why Ghost of Tsushima has me so excited. Like, if they come out with a Ghost of Tsushima custom console for PlayStation 4, I'm probably going to buy that. Probably going to buy that console. Like, I'm definitely going to buy that console without question, because, man, I love it. So definitely hyped for this game, and definitely excited to see where it goes. It's a day one on my list without question.
Mm-hmm.
Before we finish up Gamescom, I want to talk about something that Matt Booty said.
Okay, dude, I just want to let you know, maybe people in chat can say if they are or not, but you're botting something horrible for me. I'm having trouble understanding you.
Oh, wow. Okay. I don't know. I have everything set up. I shouldn't have any issues.
I'm just saying, if I have to ask you to say something twice, don't get angry. That's all.
Yeah, no doubt. I
continue.
So let me jump into the Matt Booty interview, because Matt Booty came out and he says some things I found very interesting. Not something that we didn't know already. But it's cool because of the simple fact that it lets you know what Microsoft plans are and what they're doing. So he sort of talked about what they were looking for when they picked up Ninja Theory, and what they're looking for going forward. And what he said, and I quote, "I don't want to seem like we're going out to fill a quota. It's not about filling a spreadsheet by any means. We will, however, have an interest in studios right now that fit this criteria of 50 to 100 people who are making games on a 2 to 3 year cadence and have content that we think will be of interest to our Game Pass subscribers. That means content that is a little different to what our big AAA franchises can deliver." 50 to 100 people, that's pretty cool. I don't have a problem with that. 2 to 3 years, I don't have a problem with that. The only thing that concerns me is that this sort of was like in reference to Ninja Theory.
Mm-hmm.
And I want Ninja Theory to be a part of that AAA franchise.
Absolutely.
Yeah, what I'm saying? I want them to be a part of that AAA franchise delivering every 3 to 5 years. I don't want them to be the guys that make games 2 to 3 years. I don't want that. As good as Hellblade was, if they had a larger team and a bigger budget, it would have been absolutely amazing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it would have, because look, even if the game rated very well and it did decently, at least critically, it didn't knock anything out the park sales-wise between all the places that it released. So having a bigger studio, better marketing, and more people to support, I feel like this is a studio that you need to be pumping out another big AAA franchise next to the Initiative. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're still only going to rely on Forza, Turn 10, Playground, well, I can't say that because Playground Games is making a AAA game, but if you're still going to rely on Turn 10, 343, and the Coalition just to produce these AAA exclusives, then you're sort of putting yourself in the same boat, I think. You may have more first-party titles, but people want big flagship games. You know what I'm saying? They want to see a return to these flagship titles. And yeah, it's great to support Game Pass. I think it's smart. I think picking up Undead Labs is smart. I think picking up Compulsion Games is smart. Obviously, picking up Ninja Theory was smart as well. But I would rather them have Ninja Theory doing something big AAA along with the initiative. Playground is already working on a big AAA RPG. I want them to hire another studio, whether it's Focus Home Interactive for A games, somebody along those lines that's going to make more AA to A games and release it 2 to 3 years, and not rely on any other studio like a Ninja Theory to come in and sort of fill that gap every 2 to 3 years. I really hope that's not what they plan to do.
Okay, so I feel like I'm going to explain how I feel what's going on here, okay?
Mhm.
The reality is, and I said this months ago, and I'll say it again. For Game Pass to succeed, Microsoft needs content. They need games. A lot of them. They need a lot of games. Hence Matt Booty's comment about finding studios 50 to 100 devs strong as a ballpark. I don't think that's a hard, fast rule. They're like, oh, well, you got 49? Tough luck. Or, oh, you got 103? Dang it. If you hit some layoffs, maybe we can pick you up. That's not what it is. It's a ballpark for the type of size studio that they're trying to pick up here. Because they need lots of games. But at the same time, they're going to let Ninja Theory grow. Ninja Theory's hiring. They've got 3 or 4 open positions right now. But they're going to let them grow organically. Okay, they're not going to say, okay, by X year, you have to have 350 people. Does that make sense? Like, they'll get to 350. Right. I think they will get to 350 or 400 devs eventually, several years down the line, but they're going to let them grow organically and do what they want. They like working in teams. A team of 20 people made Hellblade on a very small budget, like $12 million or something like that. So what are 2 teams of 50 going to be able to do with Microsoft's money? Do you see what I'm saying? And then they'll keep on growing from there and going from there. And these studios, if they want to grow and expand, they can. But if they just want to stay small and do something to pad out Game Pass, they can as well. I think Ninja Theory absolutely will grow to meet that AAA standard. I just don't think we can expect that right away.
I mean, that's a better analogy and a better way to present it and think about it. I 100% agree with you. I think that would be the best way to do it. If you can't produce some smaller titles early on and, like you said, organically grow to a point to now you're producing maybe 2 games. Because like you said, you got these, you could have a small group working on, you got, just like you said, 50 people could be working on this game that comes out every 2 years, or a new title that releases every 2 to 3 years, while the other 200 guys is working on a big AAA IP. Now that works, you know what I'm saying? And I can deal with that. I would like to see that, yeah.
And if Ninja Theory likes working in teams, then imagine this, dude. Again, Hellblade was made by 20 people. What if Ninja Theory one day gets to 400 devs and they've got 4 100-man teams working on projects?
That would
imagine that. Would it not be better in that case for them to be working on teams, having 3 or 4 games in the pipeline at all times?
I agree. I absolutely agree. It would be absolutely incredible if they did that. I hope Compulsion Games also falls in that group as well.
I think so too. I think it's gonna, again, it'll take time. Let them grow organically. Don't rush them and try to staff them out like go, go, go. They're going to do that with the initiative because they need the initiative to grow quickly. They're trying to absorb Santa Monica talent and get some big studio there to work on a couple of big games. But the others, just let them grow organically. But you know what? They've let 343 grow organically. Back in 2016, they had 450 devs. Now they have well over 500. You know, so they've grown, but you let it happen naturally.
Right. We'll definitely see what they have up their sleeve coming up, man. I'm definitely excited for Microsoft's future, these studios, the things that they're going to be working on. Everybody's slate is clear now. Everybody's released their games. All the studio slates are clear. People just now have, I guess, could take a vacation and maybe sometime next year start working on their next project for next gen. I'm really excited about it. I can't wait to see what all of these studios show off. So with with Gamescom's passing, what do you give what they presented at Gamescom?
A score, you mean?
Yeah, as far as an overall rating. I guess let's not rate it. Let's not do that.
Okay. I was about to say, you might not want me to do that.
Yeah. Let's not rate it. Let's do this. Let's do this instead. Do you think Microsoft continued their momentum from E3, or did they fall flat at Gamescom?
Okay, that's a good way of putting it. I think they continued their momentum in the best way they could. By the same token of, I can't remember who said this, but I'll steal the quote from them because they did come up with it first, whoever it was. Sorry. Microsoft gave us the best E3 they theoretically could. If you understand the realities of where they were at and where, Xbox has just now come out from under the bootstraps, so to speak, they gave us the best thing they could. I think considering what they have in the pipeline, they probably continued their momentum well. They gave us, but they've got a bunch of big holiday bundles, Battlefield, Forza Horizon 4, Fallout 76. That's not small fries. That's not chicken feed. That's going to do numbers. And but like the Battlefield 1 bundle back in 2016 did really well for them. And Hunt Showdown, DayZ coming to preview. Look, that's more games. Might not be huge AAA blockbusters, but it is more games.
No doubt. I feel like Microsoft had a good Gamescom. People are going to kill me for saying that.
It was decent. I'm not going to say good. It was decent.
It's not a fanboy thing, right? But the reason why I said I feel like they had a good Gamescom is because I am into everything that Microsoft is doing. I'm into game preview. I'm into Game Pass. And I'm into MMOs. And for me, as a gamer on the platform, they presented stuff that I can play within the next month. And I know what's coming out in the future. That's what's exciting to me. Being able to get my hands on Hunt, being able to see Tomb Raider, being able to see Sekiro and the Blessed game, which I'm definitely going to be trying. You have the DLC for Sea of Thieves, which allows me to jump back in. And yet, it's not nothing new. I feel like everybody's expecting things to happen. And this brings me to my point about Inside Xbox. And one of the reasons why I got to this debate on Twitter about Inside Xbox. I feel like everybody always looks at Inside Xbox as the show that's supposed to be like, when they do the show, they need to present something that's going to surprise people every time or inform them on something massive that's coming out in the future. So that way Microsoft continues to keep this momentum going. And I can't stress enough that that is not what Inside Xbox is. Major Nelson used to do, or he still does, this little show where he would pop up on the Xbox experience and sort of like give you an idea of what you're getting with deals with gold for the month and what you're getting with Game Pass this month and stuff like that. And I just feel like that's what Inside Xbox is. It's just a magazine, but it's just a video. It's literally a video magazine. It's exactly what it is. And you're not going to get anything crazy because it's not an event show. I had someone literally tell me that they wanted to see Crackdown 3 gameplay. They wanted to see concept art for Battletoads. They wanted to see what was the latest happening with the 3 games from the coalition with Gears of War. It's just one of those things where it's just like, that's just not what that show is. The show is a monthly show, first of all. They're going to show you basically what's happening that particular month, what's releasing, what you're going to get with Game Pass. They do this literally every month. Like every episode they do this. It's like insane. What you're going to get with deals with gold, what you're going to get with Game Pass, give away a few games, give away some indie game or whatever the game of the show is. Maybe do an interview, give you some sort of like horny background, 10-minute interview about something, whether it's a game or a voice actor or a producer or something like that. On this past episode, they gave a background on the Halo arcade machine, which drove people nuts. At the end of the day, that's what it is. And people got mad because I said, listen, if you don't know, if you're upset with the first, second, and third episode, why are you expecting something new with the fourth, fifth, and sixth episode?
Bingo. I think the reality is like, okay, can people expect more? Yes, they can. They absolutely can. I'm not trying to say you can't expect more. Can people complain? Sure, it's well within your rights, but this is not a mini E3 show, okay? That's not what this is. For months, if not years, people, including myself, I will raise my hand and take a bow for this, I will accept my responsibility for this. We complained that Microsoft was not transparent enough, that Xbox was not transparent enough, that they rolled up to E3, and if they were feeling merciful, we'd get Gamescom as well, and then we never heard from them again. This is their way of addressing that. Is it perfect? No, it's not perfect, but this is their way of, okay, here's Sea of Thieves DLC, see? Here's State of Decay 2's DLC. This game is coming to preview. Or next month, we got some Xbox 360 enhanced games to show off and some more OG games for you to enjoy. It's not big stuff, but they're sprinkling the little stuff throughout the months and drumming it up for the fans. Now, do they need to hype it up, as some people in the chat are saying? Like, no, they don't need to hype it up to the stratosphere. That's a bad idea waiting to happen, okay? But neither should we, the fans, expect them to show something incredible or hype it up. Just take what you get and enjoy the transparency.
Bro, I can't say this enough.
And another thing, they could still stand to shave about 30 minutes of fluff off. A tighter 45-minute show would work better. I will also concede that point.
You know what it is? This is Major Nelson's show. Major Nelson's a corny dude. No disrespect to Major Nelson. No disrespect. But Major Nelson is just like an older guy. He's sort of out of touch with the youth of today. And he does corny things like with the gloves. Like that appeals to the guy that's, 55 years old, 50 years old. Like he finds that funny. Everybody else is like, dude, this is kind of lame. Like take the gloves off. Stop with the gloves already. Here's the thing though. And I say this all the time. If you see Major Nelson or AC Bongos about to present something to you, lower your expectations. Not once has Major Nelson come out and I swear to you, I can't stress this enough. Not once has Major Nelson ever come out and announced anything major. The man name is Major, does nothing major. Okay? He has never once come out and said, oh, we got this big megaton game, or this is what's coming. That's not what he does. That's not their job. That's not what they do. Major Nelson is like the head of programming for Xbox. All the videos and all of the stuff you see, that's Major Nelson. AC Bongos does the same thing, but he's stationed in the UK and runs that UK media team. If they're presenting something, it is not what you think it is. Lower your expectations, literally. Because I'm gonna tell you right now,
I can't disagree.
It's the truth. Like if you see Phil come out, you could expect something. Listen, at GDC, Phil came out on the show. You know what he showed? The first time he came out at GDC and he had the Battletoads shirt on, he showed a demo for the cloud power that you could break everything, and it was Crackdown 3. Everybody got hyped for that. Everybody was hyped talking about it for long. You seen Crackdown's demo? Wow, that was crazy. Yeah, power of the cloud. Yay! But Phil came out and did that. If you see somebody from one of the major studios come out and talk about something, they probably got a surprise. You know what I'm saying? If Rod Ferguson comes out and he's talking about Gears, he probably got a surprise for the people who rock at, who's at Gears. The guys from Turn 10. If you've seen Craig Duncan pop out for Rare, he's probably got a surprise. If you see Major Nelson or AC Bongos, bro, turn it off. Like they ain't got nothing for you, fam. Like they don't.
It's for the casuals. That's not an insulting thing, but it's for the casuals. It's
exactly.
Casual audience that does not keep up with everything. That is not necessarily a bad thing.
Right.
That's okay. But it's not for us who keep up with this stuff.
Right. And that's all I'm saying. Again, it's no disrespect to Major Nelson, AC Bongos. AC's a great friend to Tick, really cool guy. Met him multiple times at E3. Nothing but friendly, kindest guy in the world. And he's just doing his job. Major Nelson, just doing his job. And these guys, again, it's not their fault because that's just not their role. It's like you expect the guy that's coming off the bench to be LeBron. And he's not. Like that's just he's not even the sixth man. He's like the dude that's supposed to get you like 5 points and 3 rebounds a game. Like that's that guy. So you expect him to come in and sort of replace somebody that's got injured. Like that's not how this works. So that's my thing. It's just again, that's not what the show is. So I just think that people need to really focus on what Microsoft is events, or they go to these events, maybe look at what they're going to show off. Follow podcasters like Tick Podcast, follow the Tick Network, follow Tick Games Network. And when we get news, we get rumors, we'll talk about it, we'll discuss it all the time. Follow Phil. Phil's always announcing stuff or having conversations with people and literally giving up his own information, having his own interviews on Twitter with the fans. So you can always get info from there too. But if you go to Inside Xbox looking for some type of major experience or some change from the first episode compared to now, or you keep expecting more, you're going to be constantly disappointed because that's not what the show is. It's a monthly magazine show. That's basically what it is. Just give you an update on the latest with Xbox, honestly. So listen, man, we gotta hurry up and get out of here. And I don't mean to rush or anything like that, but I want to do the Q&A. Let's jump into Xbox All Access. Now, there's a rumor going around that Microsoft might be subsidizing Xboxes. So apparently, you're supposed to be getting either an Xbox One S or an Xbox One X in 2 years of Xbox Live and 2 years of Xbox Game Pass. If you have the S, I believe it's $22 a month that you would pay interest-free. And if it is an Xbox One X, it's $35 a month interest-free. And there's two sides to every story, okay? It's just a rumor. This is not something that's been confirmed by Microsoft. But let's just say this does happen, okay? Let's just say this does happen. If it does happen, on the one side, you have all the people who hate Xbox literally trashing this thing. I've seen people call it now it's the welfare box, which I find completely disrespectful. I absolutely find it super disrespectful. But you have people calling it the welfare box. You have people talking about Microsoft as robbing people, and they don't, all they care about is business. They're an evil corporation. Do you have people who are logical and understand that this is just another option to pick up the platform? Everybody might not have that type of money. For the mom who is a single parent or the dad who is a single parent, it is raising the kid by himself, and his kid wants something for Christmas, but he can't get it. He can now get it. $30 a month, $35 a month. He can pay it off over time and have the box at home. I think that is absolutely a really great idea. My only concern is, how do you regulate this thing? You know what I'm saying? How do you regulate it? How does it all work? Because the first time, and I'm telling you right now, this is exactly what's going to happen. Someone's going to get it, and they ain't going to pay. You're going to make that first payment, and then after that payment is done, you're not paying another dime. What happens from there? What does Microsoft do to deter people from stopping payment and continuing their payments with the platform? Do you get it? Do Microsoft come to your house and repossess the box out of your living room?
Okay, so wait a minute. Aaron Greenberg and Mike Ybarra rolling up to take it away from you. That's actually a hilarious mental image. That's pretty darn good. I mean, I don't think this is ours to worry about, though. Let them worry about how they're going to implement and stuff like that. Presumably, it would be done through a line of credit the same way other things are. But the main difference is, if this is true, shout out to Jez Corden from Windows Central. He's the one who did the work on this and exposed the rumor. Tom Warren and some others have made comments verifying it from other sources. If this turns out to be true, it's a great option. At the end of the day, that's all it is. It's an option, but it's a good thing, and it's making gaming more affordable for people is something I'm absolutely with. Because gaming is not some luxury to be, for us to be gatekeepers over and say, well, you have to work hard for it. It's like, that's ridiculous. Some people, especially in America now, are beginning to live paycheck to paycheck. If this is a way for them to enjoy some gaming at the same time as others, then so be it. It's cool. I say, until further notice, we just wait and see if Microsoft reveals it. But that's my take. I'm pretty simple on it. Right.
I just feel like I'm just trying to figure out what happens. Like, obviously after the first month, let's say you get the box and you pay it for 2 to 3 months. And then after the first 2 to 3 months, you stop paying. Something happens, your car breaks down, you can't make the payment. I'm wondering if there's something in the box that prevents you from playing games. Like this special box, like it's a special box.
No, that would be way too expensive. Without knowing how many people would sign up for the program, bad idea.
I'm trying to figure out do you know how many Xboxes will get stolen?
Because it will put a hit on your line of credit if you don't make the payments. Like a big hit. It's that simple.
Yo, criminals don't care about credit. Listen, as somebody who grew up around a lot of criminals, okay, when I was a kid, in some of the worst neighborhoods in America, they don't care about credit. No one gives a damn about credit, bro. They're like, yo, I can get a $500.
But then presumably you'd have to have a decent line of credit to get one in the first place.
Well, that's true.
I think that needs to be considered.
That is true. I guess they do run a credit check to see if you qualify. I guess it would be a credit check thing to see if you qualify, and then you would get the box, and then you would have to pay it off, or your credit could take a massive hit. That makes sense. Because if you got good credit, nobody's trying to ruin that. You're not trying to ruin your credit,
That's what I'm keying in on here. If you are someone who has great or at least good credit, you are someone who cares about it.
Listen, if you're a grown ass man, credit is real. Like credit is a real deal.
My point exactly.
So you're not trying to mess up your credit over no Xbox, without question. But I just find it funny that I guess you do have to qualify. So I guess that doesn't sort of eliminate some of their perspective, because I just figured that they would just allow anybody to do it. Because I'm just like,
I feel like it would have to be a little more complicated than that.
Yeah, it's funny though. Either way.
For sure.
But I like it. I don't know why people are killing Microsoft didn't put this out yet, but they're killing the fans who agree with it. I feel like it's a good option. You have now the option to pick up an Xbox. And it's funny because what I find funny about this the most is that I think that this might not have happened if Microsoft, like this might not have to be an option if Microsoft didn't put their exclusives on PC, if they kept their exclusives exclusive. But then again, if they did that, Microsoft might not be in a position that they're in financially. You understand what I'm saying? And with the whole Play Anywhere situation and stuff like that, because a lot of people abandoned Xbox once they were able to get their games on PC. There's a lot of people who traded Xboxes in. There's a lot of people who sort of just left the platform. And I guess from that perspective, Microsoft looked at it like, hey, there's still people out there that might not be able to pay $400 to $500 for a platform, but we can subsidize it and get them to buy in for $35 a month, and over 2 years this is what you pay, which is actually less if you bought it outright. I think the big impact happens when the next platform comes out. When the next Xbox comes out and they be like, yo, $500 for this box, or $600 for the next Xbox.
No, not happening. No way.
You don't. For a subsidized box? Yo, imagine if they put out a $600 console.
$599. No, the answer is absolutely no. 500 is the max they'll go, dude.
Look, there's a clock in my head going right now, right? And I'm like literally it's like little tinkering is going on, and I'm like coming up with this devious scheme for Microsoft. So Microsoft drops the next Xbox for $599, bro. This is their entry into dropping this platform for $599. Makes it the most powerful console in the history of mankind, bro. And they say that you can subsidize this box for $35 a month, or maybe $45, whatever it is going to go up, obviously. But let's just say it's $45 or $55 a month for 2 years. That's not a good option for the most powerful console on the market. Like, what would you put in a $600 box, power-wise?
I'll say this, okay? 600, dude, that number does not ring right to me. But I'll say this, though, okay? I will say this. The subsidized option makes a $500 launch console way more palatable. Okay, I'll meet you halfway here. I'll meet you halfway here and say like it's because this gen, it being 500 versus a $400 PS4 was a big deal, among other things. There were plenty of other things going on as well, but that was one of the big problems they had. Having it be a subsidized option would negate that. Absolutely. So
Like,
we're on the same line of thought here. We're on the same line of thought.
could you imagine Microsoft went on stage after everything they've been through this generation about about the Xbox and its pricing, and they come out and they announce the next Xbox is $100 more than the generation before? Yo, you want to talk about starting slow? Bro, they might sell 2 Xboxes. Everybody that jumped over to PlayStation if they come out at $400. But no, I think obviously I'm just making up something for conversation. I think that the next platform will be $499 though, $500 console, and they're going to do their best to try to make it the most powerful console in the market once again, and sort of continue to hold that mantle. We've been hearing rumors about PlayStation possibly releasing some info on the next Xbox. I'm not the next PlayStation, excuse me, or even PlayStation in 2019. Obviously, that's a rumor. I don't think it's coming out in 2019, but I also would not be surprised if it did release in 2019. And a head start over Xbox would be, I think it would hurt Xbox a lot.
They're not releasing in 2019. Every analyst worth their salt is looking at the situation and saying it's going to be 2020 for both. I mean, think about it. This is not a PlayStation podcast, but really quickly here, they have way too many games that they need to get out before the PlayStation 5 comes out, and they got to space those things out. And some of them are not even close to ready yet. So, 2020. Absolutely.
I agree. Same thing with the Xbox. Next Xbox is 2020. I as well agree with that. So very excited for that and can't wait to see all of this stuff shape out. But man, it would be awesome to see what Microsoft could do with a $600 box if they subsidize that joint, and to see people's reactions to it would be hilarious. Not good for the brand. Would not be good for the brand at all. I'll tell you, we would be on the show. We might have 2 people join the show because every Xbox fan has officially abandoned Xbox on a $600 platform. But still, with a subsidized console, entry level, man, you can pick it up. $500 does make it nice though. A $500 console for $35 a month, you can't beat that price. That's a really good price, honestly. Whereas most companies raise the price, like Rent-A-Center and Finger Hut and all these little places that you kind of like rent to own, man, you be paying like $800 for a Xbox. So that's pretty cool. That's really good on Microsoft, and that's pretty dope. So listen, man, that's going to be it for this week's show. I want to thank everybody for stopping out once again. Make sure you give us a thumbs up and a share. We do truly appreciate it. We're going to go ahead and try to knock out a Q&A with everybody in chat. Make sure you head over to Tick Games Network, the premier network for video game news, rumors, and reviews. Make sure you check out Tick Affiliates, and that's going to be TIC_affiliates on Twitter, where you can find all of our affiliate podcasts, starting with Basement Radio Arcade Podcast. That's the BRAP Radio Podcast. You also have NLG Gaming Podcast. We have Four Guys with Quarter Podcast. We have the Gaming Perspective with our own team members. Shout out to Nick Undead as well as Sam Tolbert on the Gaming Perspective podcast. And then, of course, we have my man iDizzy's team, Playback Gaming Podcast, and those are the affiliates. So make sure you go ahead on Tick Affiliates and support those guys. These guys do excellent shows, drama-free, real gaming talk, man. It's really cool to have people out there putting up some really great info and news and conversations and opinions. So make sure you go support. Sam, anything on your mind?
Not particularly. No, nothing screaming out. Just, I'll say this, dude. Okay, I'll say this. You curious about the Game Awards this year? Because the Game Awards have gotten better every year. I really do feel like Jeff Keighley has done a better job every year in terms of curating the content and balancing the advertising and the pacing and the reward reveals. Last year, they were really good. I don't know. I'm curious to see what we're going to find out this year. Maybe nothing big, but I feel like we could see some big trailers drop. I really do.
Right. No, I'm definitely hyped. I got to get Jeff on the show. Right now, these are the people that I have lined up for the show. As soon as we can lock in some dates, I got Jeff Keighley, who should be returning sometime in the next couple of months. He actually sent me a message. He said the next time he wants to come on the show, he wants to have something fire. He wants to have some fire. I don't know what that means. That could be bad. That could be bad.
He'll bring Joseph Ferris to talk about The Office.
Yeah, I have no idea what that means with Jeff. Jeff is sporadic, so he could just come out and say something pretty crazy, and that will really set the show on fire. I'm in talks right now with Drew Capturing. It's hard for me to pronounce his last name, but if you don't know who Drew is the head writer for Knights of the Old Republic, Mass Effect, and Anthem. That would be really cool to get him on the show. I'm just trying to lock in a date. He's on vacation, so when he gets back, we'll be able to lock that up. I'm also in talks with bringing an old guest back to the show to get an update on their game. The guys over at Ceruleum Digital, and they work on a game called the Lost Pisces. We had these guys on 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and their game was really cool, so make sure you check it out. So I'm definitely excited about that. And guess what I'm in talks with right now? About to surprise everybody, we're going to have an EA dev on the show to talk about NBA Live 2019. So that's pretty cool.
All right. We got to get B Money in on that then.
Yeah, absolutely. Without question. Got to get B on the show. I'm in talks with her right now, and I should have some news coming up on Monday. It's the weekend. It's rare that people respond over the weekend, so we'll see how it all works out. But definitely will be cool to get her on the show and sort of see what's going on with her at EA and NBA Live and what they've been working on over the years and see how far it's come, because I've been hearing some good things about this year's NBA Live 19. And we'll continue to work and try to get people on the show as always. So that's what we got lined up, and we'll let you know as we continue to move forward and get these people on the show as we continue to bring you great content for the Xbox gamer. So listen, man, we're going to get out of here. We're going to try to do this Q&A real quick. If you have a question, make sure you leave a question mark behind the question so we can see it and go ahead and respond. And we're out of here. So we'll see you guys next week, Saturday at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you tune in tomorrow for the Iron Lore podcast with the Iron Lore team as they talk about the latest. They're actually supposed to have a guest on. I believe it's the Mooch. Mooch is coming on Tick Network. Wow, this is a surprise, man. I'm kind of taken aback, but shout out to Mooch, who's going to come on Tick Network and hang out with the Iron Lore podcast tomorrow. So make sure you tune in for that. Multiverse is back. They'll be on Monday at 8 p.m. And I believe this week coming up is 2XP's week off because they do every other week. So you can catch them the following week on Wednesday at 8 p.m. as well. So listen, man, I want to thank everybody for stopping out. I'm your host, Kara S. Khalil with Don 484. Shout out to B Money 101 and Anchorman V getting that nutmeg. And I'm going to holler at you guys later. We're off this planet. Peace. All right, so listen, man, big shout out. I want to thank everybody for hanging with the squad tonight. File Davikin, thank you. Leaky G, thank you, brother, for coming in. Mike D, thank you as always for coming in as well. Enrique, my brother, thank you for stopping in. TF God, Josh Dixon, thank you guys for hanging out with us. D21 exclusive, thank you for hanging out with us. I know there's a few people in here that I missed. Innate, thank you, my brother, for rocking with us for the whole show. I appreciate your support. TF God, if I didn't get you, thank you as always for supporting and rocking with us. Groot DX, shout out to the DX men of the DX Mansion. Thank you, my brother, for hanging out with the squad tonight. Old Gaming Dominion, thank you, brother, for hanging out with the squad as well. The Mac of all 10, thank you for hanging out with the squad. We truly appreciate the support. Straight Duval, thank you for hanging out with the squad. Garfunkel, Dizzy, and I think his name is, what's his name? Wilkins. I always forget his name for some reason.
Andrew Wilkins.
Yep. Shout out to Andrew Wilkins as well for coming through and hanging out with the squad tonight. We appreciate your support as always. We really do, man. It goes a long way. One of the reasons why we have not stopped doing live shows is because we truly appreciate the guys who come out every night, hang out with us, talk about Xbox, give their opinions and conversations and stuff like that. So we definitely want to do a live show for you guys and give you guys something every Saturday night to talk about when it comes to Xbox. Whether you agree with us or disagree with us, we're always going to try to be honest and keep it real with you. And shout out to my man WFC. Really appreciate him as well, who is now a part of the NLG team and is a Tick affiliate. So big shout out to Fastback, man. Hope everything works out and you guys do well over there at NLG. All right. Shout out to Super Cooper. Trying to get everybody, make sure everybody know that I appreciate them for hanging out with the squad. So let's see here. Any questions? Val Davikin asks, is there any news on Black Desert Online beta? Is it available right now? I don't think so.
It's not available right now. There was an update at E3. I'm trying to remember what they said then. Give me 1 second here. Let me look into that for a moment. What did Pearl Abyss say?
Mm-hmm.
No, they didn't give a release date. They said they were changing. I remember they said they were changing service providers. They're working on server stability before they try rolling the beta out. But no other update other than that. Sorry.
TF God asks, what will be Sony or Microsoft's Achilles heel next gen? Will Scarlett's low latency streaming give them an edge over PS Now, or will the lack of BC options hurt PS5?
Sony or MS's Achilles heel? I'm way too tired for that question. That's complicated. Microsoft's, it's making sure that they get their games and studios organized. They have time to grow, but they need to continue to grow exponentially, and they need to do it quick because they need to be able to pump out a steady stream of quality big games as well as the smaller stuff as well. Sony, it's doing something dumb, like, for example, off the top of my head, deciding that backwards compatibility with the PS4 isn't needed. Something like that. But these things are more complicated than that. I'm just picking stuff off the top of my head here.
I think Sony will be back. I think PS5 will be backwards compatible. There are too many good games.
I agree.
On PS4 for them not to have the backwards compatible. The worst thing Sony could do is remaster all the games they put out on PS4. And I would not be surprised if you got a remaster of like a game like Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh, you absolutely will.
You would definitely get Horizon Zero Dawn remastered for the PlayStation 5. I can see it already. And people will buy it because that's what PlayStation dudes do. But listen, the worst thing Sony, I think, could do is continue to start out slow like they do every generation. You know, I think if Sony comes out fast and they're dropping bombs out the gate and they continue for the whole generation, it will be a very difficult time for Microsoft, even in the new generation, to capture and regain ground, honestly. I think one of the things that Microsoft had an advantage of, at least the first 3 years, was how Sony was really dependent on indies. And though they had solid AAA games, it wasn't the PlayStation that people normally expect. And it wasn't until the last couple of years that Sony really took it to a whole different level with some of their first-party releases. Xbox, on the other hand, had a strong start. They had a lot of big games, whether they reviewed critically or well or not. They still released some really good titles over the last couple of years. And then in 2016, at the end of 2017, the beginning of 2017, actually, they had a disastrous 2017, and it all started with the cancellation of Fable and then the cancellation of Scalebound, and they've been reeling ever since. So what Microsoft's Achilles heel would be for the next platform is if their first party output doesn't keep pace with PlayStation. And I don't mean that they need to be able to produce the same amount, because that's not going to happen just because of Sony's legacy and the relationship they have with Japan alone is not going to allow it to happen. But if Microsoft in Game Pass and everything that they built from this generation is able to translate to the next generation and be a strength, and you're starting to get all the games that we have talked about, and the studios are really starting to pump out games, and all these little mid-tier studios they bought are starting to pump out new IPs every year. And you don't have a drought, and you don't have a funk, and they actually really are getting decent ratings, 80s, 85, 90s or better. Microsoft is on the ball. The only other thing I can think Microsoft could do is something corporate that would hurt them, which is like raising the price of Xbox Live or doing something idiotic like that.
I think you can apply that to Microsoft or Sony. Either one of them getting arrogant and dumb and doing something corporate.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But hopefully neither of them do something dumb, and it's going to be interesting to see what they both look like in peak perfection. That's what I'm hoping for. That'll be really cool.
Dizzy says, how many Whisper runs has Cal ran? I believe he's talking about Destiny. I have not run any. I've actually sort of taken a step back from Destiny. I need to get back into it. I'm actually probably going to use that looking for group for the first time. I never used that ever, but I might use it because I want to definitely finish this Solstice stuff before it ends and get the Solstice armor done and get some of these weapons before the next DLC come out. And I still got to beat Warmind. I haven't beaten that yet, so maybe I'll get somebody to run it with me. Let's see here. Questions. Basement Radio Arcade Podcast asks, considering Nintendo only reports physical software sales, how impressed are you by Nintendo's success? Believe they had 5 titles in the top 20 for July NPD. Any thoughts?
All of that is testament to how much Switch owners are hungry for games, and they are eating games up right now. If it goes to the Switch, they have, Matt Piscatello has actually talked about this, far off in the future, they have an eShop problem where things get too cluttered. That problem is not here now, though. So for now, people are just gobbling games up like it's crazy. And Octopath Traveler, in particular, topping the charts last month, physical only, that's not digital sales. And it was restrained by supply issues, particularly in North America and Japan, is a testament to the fact that people want games released in the summer. I don't ever want to hear again that it can't be done. I understand that's when many devs go on vacation, so there's certain situations where you can't, but it can be done. Octopath Traveler basically had nothing to go up against in terms of game releases. It really did. And it had the whole month to itself, and it was able to dominate people's attention as a result. And it worked out well for them, and Square has already said you can expect more games like that. I would not be shocked if there's an Octopath Traveler sequel, you know?
Right.
So, yeah, it's testament to how hungry people are for Switch games, and B, how releasing games like that on their own in the summer is a fantastic idea.
The one thing I give Nintendo is that they capitalize on their DS fan base. This, like, the Switch is not being bought by Wii U owners. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not. Like, the Switch is being bought by people who like the portability of the platform.
Well, that's because there weren't really many Wii U owners. So.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Exactly, and you're playing to your strength. Everybody loves DS. DS is basically the highest selling console close to being the highest selling console at this point, or platform, whatever you want to call it. And there's a lot of users out there, and the portability of the Switch makes it a very viable option to pick up beside a DS. And I think it's really smart on Nintendo's part. My only concern is I'm on the fence about getting a Switch as well. My only concern is when the next Xbox come out and the PS5 come out, what happens to the Switch? Because now we're back in the same boat once again of having limited hardware and not being able to keep up with these next-gen games. And when those third-party games come out once again and the Switch can't run it, or developers just aren't going to release it because it's just a waste of time, like they've been doing with some of these big games like Red Dead Redemption and so on and so forth, you back in the same boat once again, and now you don't have third-party support and you're dependent on first party. And then the well runs dry. So that's my only concern with the Nintendo Switch at this point. But it's a great success for Nintendo. I'm happy for them, absolutely.
It's awesome seeing them back.
It's good to see them back, absolutely. Josh Dixon asks, "Hey Cal, what do you think about the Jump Force trailer that we will be able to create our own characters?" I think it's awesome. I think it's absolutely awesome. I'm excited for it. I was so happy to see Gon from in Hisoka from Hunter x Hunter. I was completely shocked that they were in the game. I want to get the greatest mafia in the history of anime on there with the Reborn Squad. I want them in there so bad. I would like to see Sona and oh my God, what is his name? Lambo. That's my man, Lambo. I want to see those characters in there, man. I love that crew. And I see them put Sabo and they put Sanji in there from One Piece. So yeah, man, I'm excited about it. I'm really hyped for the game. It is one of my most anticipated games. I'm probably going to stream that game a lot on the channel because one of the things I want to do is try to get more streams on Tick Network, whether it's Xbox or PlayStation, because we are a multi-platform network channel, but Tick Podcast in particular is Xbox. So I would love to be able to stream some more games on here so people can actually see us playing games and not just hear us constantly talking about it. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Regarding Jump Force, call me up when they get my boy Saitama on there. Not fair, I know.
It's not fair. Like, it would be dope though if like everybody would just kept backing up from him because one hit would just knock everybody out.
But hey, I mean, they can include him even if he's not a playable character. They've got Light Yagami in there as an NPC, and so like if they can get him as an NPC with Death Note, then they can get my boy in there. Mm-hmm. They can get Saitama on there.
Right. Let's see here. I think that's it. I don't see any.
That's it. Easy night.
Yeah. So listen, man, I want to thank everybody for stopping out once again. Truly appreciate you guys' support and hanging out with us for the Q&A after show. Again, once make sure you give us a thumbs up and share out to your respective social media networks. Please support Tick Games Network. We truly appreciate it. We will be updating the podcast over the next month and adding all of our old content to the website so you can see some of our old reviews as well as some of the content from the old website as well. But the guys are doing an excellent job there. We got review season coming up, so they're going to be doing a lot of reviews. We're going to make sure we can try to get them those games, the best games as possible, AAA, AA games, whatever's available. We'll try to get it for them so that way you guys can get those reviews out as much as possible, as fast as possible, and you can see what's coming out and what these guys' thoughts are on the platforms. Again, make sure you support Tick Podcast on iTunes. If you don't hear the show live on YouTube, you can catch us on iTunes, Google Music. If you have Android phones, you can go to Google Music and look up Tick Podcast, or you can catch us on Spotify if you have the Spotify app. All you got to do is download the Spotify app, search TIC space podcast, and all our content will pop up, including all of our interviews. And I mean all of our content, over 150 episodes with every interview we've ever done, from Phil Spencer to Craig Duncan to Jeff Keighley to Xbox Quick, just everybody, man. Everybody you could think of, we had a conversation with them. We even had Adam Boyes on Tick Podcast. So, that was a great one. That was a great show. The Adam Boyes interview was pretty dope. So make sure you check us out there, man. If you want to listen to our content, if you don't know much about Tick Podcast, you can check us out and see what we do. And make sure you support all the other shows as well. Guys out here really working hard, showing up every week to produce great content for you guys and support the Tick affiliates. Really good podcasters out there doing excellent work for the gaming community. So listen, that's going to be it for tonight's show. I'm your host, Kelroy S. Kello with Direwolf 484, and we're off this planet. You guys have a great night. Peace.